What's up? What's up? Good afternoon, Winter Circle. Happy Monday to you. And we're off. Okay. Back again with some more Monday all business discussion. Looks like I need to fix one thing here. Camera. At least on my end, it looks like this is being weird, so I'm just gonna reset the cam for a second. But yeah, I hope you guys have had a good start to the week. We are definitely gonna dive in here in a second. I'm gonna pop the topic in the chat actually really quick. Talk about that here in just a sec. But I'll pop it in the chat in the meantime, okay? Ahoy, Mr. Beeshings. Good evening, sir. Alright. I don't know if this shows for new people that join the chat or not. That's kind of the point. Just have it there so people don't have to like, what's the topic? Alright. Watching while I ride my stationary, so you better be good. We'll see. Yeah. I thought about adding the topic to titles, but I'll probably do that at some point. Okay, I think this hopefully fixed it. Camera should be back on. Make sure it pops up on the actual stream. There we go. Alright, we are back in action. Battle Royale. So, still am having the disconnect issues on Fortnite. I will probably play, depending on when I get disconnected. If it's like the first or second game, maybe one or two more. But I'm not going to continue to suffer and make everybody watching continue to suffer. So if I get more than one DC, I'm going immediately to Rocket League. But I'm hoping that I can get lucky and maybe get 2-3 games in with no disconnect, because it seems like usually out of every 4 games I can get 3 good ones. So we'll have to see. Xbox is telling me it's Fortnite's fault. Fortnite's telling me it's Xbox's fault. Both of them mentioned my internet, but my internet doesn't have issues on any other games, so I'm kind of at a little bit of a standstill here. But I'm still going to continue to try to work through it. So yeah, run some Fortnite. Eventually make our way on over to Rocket League. But what we'll be talking about tonight is the plan for the stream. And what I mean by that is kind of the initial stuff that I did with the stream. Some of the long-term, again, this is very long-term that I'm talking here. The long-term ideas for the stream and the overall winning brand and all that. So yeah, I'll just talk about some of the decisions I made, some of the decision-making processes, the do's and don'ts that I tried to abide by, and how some of that can apply to, as a lot of the Monday stuff, how some of that can apply to any sort of personal venture you might be undertaking, whether it's streaming or whether it's starting to do like a photography business or art, or maybe you want to be an influencer or a content creator online. I think a lot of the concepts, those types of concepts, can apply to multiple different platforms. So I'll just talk about some of the overall general concepts I tried to apply that will apply to other ventures. Maybe a little bit of specifics, but overall just some general best practices from what I know on starting a business or some sort of a venture that could eventually lead to a business, you know, with stuff like photography and streaming and art or being a DJ. I mean, those are 4 pretty good examples that a lot of your initial stuff is probably very similar across, like there's a lot of similarities, I mean, between those 4 things at the start. Not necessarily on the content side of things, but on the building a following and differentiating, stuff like that. A lot of that can most certainly apply to each, I think, of those types of ventures. Pretty much the same. So yep, we'll dive in on that stuff here shortly. I'll table that for right now, just so I can make sure I don't botch this first game. Okay. I'm going to hit this. Again, this. And pop this. Put that down here. Pick this up. I'm gonna burn both of these. Got this area explored. Sounded like some people landed around here. And from the looks of this, that is true. Nope, I wanted these. And these. Pistol, I want that. Which gun is this? And no thanks. Augments up. New corporate sponsor? No, not quite yet. Not quite or anywhere close yet. Oh, take that. Oh wow. I'm just gonna break this all the way, honestly. Go hit this one time. Yep. Yes, that is the new corporate sponsor indeed. Okay. Where'd this guy go? Ah, shoot. Bye-bye. I already have 6 of these. Yeah, I do. Okay. Don't attack me, chicken. Here we go. Combat shoddy. I think the Maven, honestly, is probably... How many bullets are there in here? 6. I think Maven's the most medium on fire rate and damage. Yeah, we'll do this. Then I need to go. Shouldn't have gone further down. It's over here. Or shoot, I guess down here. Okay. It's definitely a real play fight. Try to weaken both of these guys. There we go. Couldn't tell if one of those was a real player or not, so I was like, I'll just let them fight each other until I know that they're both weak, so that if one of them was, wouldn't be as much trouble. Red eye. Nope, don't need to do that. Bit of shield I need. But yeah, alright, cool. It seems like it maybe got a little bit of a break here. So anyways, I guess the start of the conversation on the plan. Oh, wow, that's sorry, I keep thinking of that sound. That sound is the same as the hammer sound, and I keep thinking like, oh, where's he at? When in reality there's no person. Yeah, so the start of the conversation on the plan. When I originally started planning out and thinking about organizing this content creation brand or project mid-year last year, I treated it like it was a business, like the plan. Like I came up with a plan for the stream as if it was gonna be, which even though this wasn't part of the plan, in order to help me get myself organized, I started organizing it like it was a pitch to a bank for a loan. So, with me having some business background, just working in sales, and at one point trying to start, you know, quote unquote, start a company. We didn't even get to the point where it was like a serious thing, really. But I learned a lot in the beginning of that process, which kind of told me like I'm not ready for this. But at least I retained a lot of that information and a lot of the stuff that, you know, I went through on organizing a business that I could utilize down the road for something like this. What is? Did his his stuff spawned in the mountain apparently? Bummer. But yeah, I started organizing it like it was going to be a pitch to a business. Mostly just for myself, because I kind of think like a businessman due to some of, again, my experience in business, and not even necessarily starting a business, but I mean, I work in sales, and sales people have to have a lot of that business pitch, the business plan, you know. Give me the pitch, buddy. You got to have a lot of different information that you're able to share with prospective clients. Or this actually seems like it might be a real person. It was. Interesting. Okay. Bot froze out. But yeah, you kind of have to have some business ownership stuff, like a little bit of a business ownership mindset when you're selling, and when you own a business, you kind of have to have the selling part of it. You got to be able to sell your business to, again, new clients and new employees, all that stuff. So sales and business ownership are quite tied in. But yeah, so anyway, step one was to write out a business plan. And I kind of wrote one out in some of my own Google documents, and I revised it and threw in new ideas that I would come across week to week. I would kind of put them in there and either workshop them over the next couple of weeks or ditch them if, you know, down the road I was like, this is a stupid idea. Alright, I'll take a purple one. Kind of would just use that as my organizing starting place. But I wrote in that thing a ton. I mean, my topics for streams, I was writing stuff in there. I was writing reminders to myself on what to do in the early stages. Which, for a streaming sort of thing and anything similar, you should originally, even before any sort of a launch, figure out a couple of really, really key things. And we will get to the key things after the end game, because there are 11 people left, and it sounds like they're shooting, so there might be another one about to die in a second. Yep, there it is. Yeah, I guess step one in general, we'll talk about the specifics in a second, but in general, it's organize yourself a business plan. Whether you show it to anybody or not, you should organize a business plan for yourself, just to organize yourself, you know, get yourself organized and get yourself a place where you can write stuff, ideas, things, you know, mental notes, do's, don'ts, etc. Get yourself a place to organize that. I used Google Docs or something like that. But you can do it anywhere. Do it on a journal. Do it in Microsoft Word. Do it in Google Docs. Find a place to organize and get some sort of a business plan laid out. Okay, I need to try to get involved in something here. 3 seconds, 2, 1. Actually, I need to go in and use my augments. Yeah, I figured I'd look over here and see a message from you. Need any new loot. I'm just gonna have to do. This is gonna have to do. These. I don't know if this is gonna help or not, but. Thought I just heard sliding. Okay, whoops. Okay. In the zone. 8 other players. It's probably going to be a sweat fest that I am not prepared for. Alright, I'm just not even going to push this a whole lot. I'll just talk about playing stuff now. So, on the specific side of things, when I was coming up with my business plan for streaming, there were a handful of things I wanted to do first and foremost that apply to any business plan. And again, we're not talking about just a brick and mortar business here. I'm talking about anything that could potentially be a business down the road, even if DJing or any of that stuff. You should still probably lay the groundwork on a lot of this stuff right out of the gate, and that's what I kind of wanted to do and what I wanted to focus on out of the initial start, because that can determine how prepared you are, and how many of these sort of things you have in place can definitely determine, if nothing else, how prepared you are for growth. Because, I mean, you can go DJ and go stream and do photography, stuff like that, at any second. But if anything ever happens to where, you really start to get a following, or you start to blow up, or you start to have a content creation thing go viral, you want to have things in place ahead of time. And a couple of those types of things that I set up early on were things like social media, accounts on all major social medias. For me, at least, of course, there's not one on every social media account, but the main ones that I wanted to focus on, I had those very early. Oh, goodness. Yep, saw that coming. So yeah, you want to make sure you have those things in place sooner than later. I picked, for my strategy and for my streaming approach, I just picked Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch as my main platforms to start. Just because I assumed, and it came to be true, that it's a lot to handle doing content creation, and not necessarily always, but to get started, where I'm trying to update multiple different accounts, and I'm trying to learn how some of this stuff works. I've got things down to, after 2.5 months, where I've got a pretty good mix of, I know I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. But at first, it was a little bit to learn. So, ahead of time, I knew at the time of launch, I'm launching all my social media platforms. I'm going to have some stuff ready to go. Kind of have a little understanding of how some of those things intertwine and how all that works. So that, eventually, I certainly hope at least, when I have more of a following, I'm not trying to learn that stuff at that time. I didn't want to get 2 months into streaming or even 2 years. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all about how long you wait and how long it takes for things to get going. But didn't want to wait until I started to kind of grow to then have to go, oh, I'll create this new social media platform and learn how to mix that into my schedule of posting and learning how YouTube works with the YouTube video creator and editor, and how that's different from Twitch's video editor and video studio and all that stuff. I wanted to learn all that stuff as I went, so I never had to have that, oh crap, like how does this work moment. So I would say that for all new businesses and new ventures, figure out what your platforms are and get that stuff ready ahead of time. Not necessarily creating the pages, because I think that fast growth on a social media page can be big for your exposure and stuff. So I didn't want to create it all in like January and not stream until March or something, you know. You're completely dead on your platform for 2 months. That definitely can't be good for any sort of algorithms or any sort of viewership consistency. So I wanted to do all that stuff in advance. So I picked my platforms, kind of wrote out some of the bio stuff that I wanted to include, so that when I posted day one, I could post, create all the accounts, copy paste my bios, and go through the setup process of that stuff a lot easier than trying to do it with no preparation. So yeah, getting a plan and getting your accounts created, or even planned out, it will put you way ahead of the 8 ball. I'm gonna drop out. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm gonna go back here. That's kind of what I was thinking of doing, but get one of those swords. Didn't get kicked though. Yeah, I did not get kicked from the game. Not with a disconnect at least. I got kicked by that player I went up against. He's like, yeah, you've been in this match for too long. Time for you to go. But yeah, so I picked my platforms, and you should pick those specific based on kind of what your market, what your approach, whatever it is that you're doing is. Mine were a good mix for me because a lot of my social market is on social media, or social medias like Instagram and Facebook. I don't think I would have very much success on a platform like TikTok. I don't really feel that for me there's much of a use for Snapchat for what I'm trying to do, and at least not yet. Eventually I think everything has a use, but for me at least I was like, yeah, I don't need to worry about Snapchat for a long time. Oh, this guy's lurking. Oh, I suck. Where's this guy at? Almost got killed by a bot. A lot of bots today. I appreciate that. Epic. I can just use this and take these back. So yeah, make your plan and pick whatever you're going to venture down based on what applies to your plan. I didn't feel the need to, for example, what I mean by that is I didn't feel the need to start a LinkedIn account for a brand new streaming, venture. Do I think LinkedIn could be useful to me down the road? Depending on how some of the stuff some of the stuff I want to do goes. Yes, most certainly. But I didn't feel like that was necessary to start. And I'll get into what I mean by that specifically with LinkedIn here in a little bit. But yeah, so I think that's kind of step one, is get your initial plan on, okay, I'm going to do this on this platform, this on this platform. Try to make them unique to the platform. You don't just want to post the same pics and videos across every platform. Switch things up a little bit. A lot of my stuff has been redundant on Facebook and Instagram for now, but it won't always be that way because I have some other plans to change things up down the road. And those are two pretty similar, not a whole lot of differentiation platforms. So part of the reason I don't initially feel the need to do a lot of different stuff on each. But yeah, so getting some of that initial stuff worked out in your mind just for yourself is important for your release. I think for me, the next big thing I wanted to do, and is probably might even be more important depending on what your venture is going to be, but you need to figure out how you are different. So your method of differentiation. And what that means is there are a zillion streamers, there are a zillion photographers, there are a zillion DJs, there are a zillion, craft making business people, there are a zillion artists when it comes to like painting and digital creation. And I mean, show me an arena that's not competitive nowadays, right? Real estate, insurance. I think pretty much everybody needs a way to differentiate if it's going to be your own thing. If you're going to be a insurance salesman for a certain company, hopefully they have a method of differentiation for you. But anything you're going to do on your own that isn't an employer type of job, you've got to make sure you find out a way to differentiate ahead of time. And if you can't dial that down, then don't start yet. Like, you've got to have some way to sell yourself against your competition. And in those sorts of situations, that's exactly what you're doing, is selling yourself against the competition. See, I went through and just found a lot of different ways that make my stream plans different than what I've seen a lot of on social media. I think a lot of how you can differentiate in certain things is you just selling yourself, and that's a part of mine, but that can only go so far, honestly, in my opinion. Unless you're really funny or really good at the game, or really good looking or something like that. Like, selling yourself can only get you so far. So you've got to try to find some other ways, and specific ways, that what you're going to be doing and or creating is going to be different than what everyone has seen from all the other, zillions of people in your arena that they've seen online. So for me, what that looked like is Yeah, I play Fortnite and Rocket League. Everybody plays Fortnite and Rocket League. But not everybody that I've watched talks about self-improvement strategies, and that applies to both the games and to real life. So a lot of people will sort of self-critique and say, oh, I should have done this when I should have done this. But I haven't seen a lot of specific criticism on, I guess, consistent criticism. Where a lot of what I try to do almost every game, which I didn't do this on the last game, so, you know, I have to say almost every game. But constantly, when I make a mistake, I try to point it out and say, oh, I should have done this when I really ended up doing this. Or next time in that situation, I need to make sure that this, or right here, you know, towards the end of that fight, I missed an edit. I need to make sure I keep practicing my editing to keep up with some of these fights. I'll probably need this. Sure. So yeah, the biggest differentiation strategy that I tried to take was on a loudspeaker. My biggest differentiation was the self-improvement, the business topics, the general mindset for every day outside of gaming topics, the budgeting, personal finance, all of that stuff. That's something that I haven't really seen people talk specifically about, and I can't tell you that off the top of my head anybody's done, from what I have heard, the best job of doing it. A lot of people will ask, you know, get asked questions that are big streamers, and they'll say, how did you get big at streaming? And they'll tell them, you know, some of the very basic, like, well, you just got to stay consistent, and you got to make sure you have a catchy title and a good background for your stream, and da-da-da-da-da, all these entry-level things that pretty much every streamer that I've seen does. So, like, is that really differentiating? I mean, you're maybe differentiating yourself from the bad streamers or the people who probably aren't going to, quote-unquote, make it necessarily. But for all the other people, the other 45,000 people that watch that video, they now have the most basic advice on, these are the basic steps that I need to take in order to differentiate myself. So now you've got to find yourself a way to differentiate from those people. Like, okay, I'm setting myself apart from the amateur hour streamers, but what about people who are really putting out good content? They are good at playing the game. They are good at engaging with the people on their stream. Is this guy below me? Where is this guy? He's got to be under me. I didn't even know that there was a compartment down there. Oh boy. A lot of bots today. Oh wow. Well, here's a non-bot. He's about to dumpster me. There it is! Mythic Havoc. Alright, I'm not dropping in the city part of the map anymore. It's just pointless. But yeah, so you gotta figure out, in my opinion, a very, very real and very, very personal method of differentiation. Like, what really makes you different? What makes the content you're going to be making different than everybody else's? So I couldn't be just another halfway decent gamer who's halfway entertaining. You're still a drop in the bucket on that part for the most part of things, right? So for me, the self-improvement topics, the general mindset topics, the budgeting, personal finance, a lot of that stuff, that's what I chose as my long-term, this is what I'm going to lay my foundation on. And also outside of that, this is again something that was a little bit more, this in particular is a bit more Aaron specific, not necessarily all ventures specific, but I had plans from the beginning on my end goal is not to be a big streamer. My end goal is to be a content creator and or, you know, public figure is a term people use, but I think it's kind of, content creator is probably the more accurate one. And whatever route I need to take to make content creating happen on a somewhat big scale, I'll just do that, you know. A live streamer, not everybody can cultivate and maintain a consistent viewership in order to do something like this seriously. But through my specific approach, I'm kind of leaving the door open long term for maybe some business and or sales coaching things, public speaking events, whatever. Some of that more business influencer type of stuff. And not a lot of streamers, you know, have a goal of doing a sales coaching session for a company, right? I'm not saying that I could ever do that part of it full-time either, but that's kind of the point. I've got a lot of these different options and avenues and outlets that I can kind of take it whatever direction I need to, and, you know, maybe I end up making, you know, years down the road, making some money streaming, some money doing events, some money just doing more straight up business oriented videos on YouTube or whatever. But I figured that streaming would be an easy in for that stuff. It wouldn't cost me a lot of money. It doesn't have any risk. Figured it would be helpful for me to talk, you know, to a camera and get comfortable with some of these editing platforms and getting more experience with managing social media pages. So that's kind of what I am choosing as my start, but purposely leaving some of those other doors open down the road. So anyways, where I was going with that is that's part of the reason I didn't initially create a LinkedIn page. I didn't create a Twitter. I wanted to bite off enough that I could chew right out of the gate, get comfortable with the rest of my stuff, get in a groove, then maybe I can add Twitter in. Then maybe 3 months goes by, and then I can add LinkedIn, something like that. So, want to make sure you don't overload yourself if you have normal life responsibilities, a job, things like that you're trying to work around and build something on the side. So, yep. Making a plan, differentiating, making a schedule, that's something for me, again, that I think could apply to other ventures. When you're starting out, people want to be able to count on you. And that's what was behind me doing, you know, I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. That's not too much for me to handle. That's not overwhelming. That's enough content that I think people could get interested. You know, 6 hours a week. That can cultivate you a decent following. It you know, depending on what your definition is, has given me a greater than 0 following. I hit 50 followers on Twitch today, and I mean, I'm maintaining somewhat consistent viewership. Not that it's anything significant, but a lot of that is because a lot of the people who watch me, they know what time to watch if they want to, so they can get on. So making a schedule, if it's DJing, maybe you do a live set every Monday. I know live sets can really take some time and effort and energy. Sure, I'll take this. Burn these. Nades. As DJing, maybe you do a live stream for 40 minutes once a week, and you post a full mix that's an hour or 2 hours long once a week on the same day. So making yourself a plan and a schedule that you can use to uphold your own accountability. And for me, there are times where, you know, I don't 100% feel like streaming on a certain day, but the schedule keeps me consistent, and I plan my week around my schedule. It's not like I'm going to stream 6 hours this week. I'm not sure what those 6 hours are, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, good luck with that. If you're like me and you have real adult responsibilities, your week can get away from you in a hurry. So, you know, do a couple of those different things. If you're in photography or something, maybe you post a new batch of photos every Monday morning and do a free shoot with your friends or people who want to, you know, give you some experience in photo shoots. Maybe you do a weekly photo shoot from 8 to noon every week. That stuff can really build up and make a difference. And for anybody that follows people who are on a higher level, streaming is a little bit of an exception because a lot of those guys, they can pretty much just stream all day, every day and have followings. But for some of the up-and-coming DJs, even some up-and-coming DJs that I know of that are playing, you know, doing tours and playing a lot of shows, they might only have 17,000 followers on Instagram or whatever, and they might only be selling out concerts of 2,000 venue capacity, or venue capacity venues. Even a lot of those guys are posting a mix every single Monday morning. They're doing a new song every Friday or every other Friday, or where did you come from? He's in a default skin. I figured he was a bot. Unfortunate for you. That was such a cheap way to play that fight, but I don't really care. I'm gonna take this and then fill this inventory slot with something else. Nades. How far do I gotta go? Man, not super far. Yeah, get yourself a consistent schedule to get started with. That doesn't have to be your schedule long term. You can make adjustments, but to start, just bite off enough that you can chew it for a couple weeks even. Because I can tell you from experience, learning a lot of the back end stuff, like video editing, video posting, getting used to posting on your story, telling people that you're going to stream, you know, that night. It takes time to get in a groove, and get comfortable with those things to where it doesn't take much time. And now I'm to the point where I have a lot of that stuff down pretty easily. So I'm not going to, but I could at this point add in like a Twitter account or something for live updates and funny quotes and stuff like that. But to start, I try to be very, very methodical in my schedule. And focus in the other times of the week on building content, practicing, watching some videos on tips, doing chores and doing things that I might need to do during the week, so that I don't get to a Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time when I'm supposed to start streaming and be like, oh crap, I needed to run this errand, or oh crap, I forgot that I needed to do XYZ. I'll just go do that and then start the stream late. It's like, no, I've blocked out this time so that, and I know what other time I have available so I can knock everything out that I need to knock out. Ammo level sliding. It's not consume ammo, sure. Sure, whatever. So let's see here. What's next? So I guess on the developing content ahead of time thing, that was pretty crucial for me for both short term and long term, because I've written a lot of stuff down, written a lot of stuff out, both that I want to use in the short term and what I want to use in the long term. Stuff like, okay, just to give you an example. So when I originally launched all my pages, I posted a video. If you haven't seen it and you want to, no pressure. I don't care if you go watch it or not. I appreciate it, but it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, so if you haven't seen it, essentially I posted a video within a couple of hours of creating my pages. Posted a video on, hey, here's my thought process and purpose behind what I'm doing. If this interests you, stick around. And, you know, I hope you all enjoy. It kind of gave some insight into the heart behind why I wanted to do a self-improvement stream. To kind of recap some of that, I suppose, I have been really passionate about personal development, and it's helped me a lot in a lot of different ways, career-wise, just my general mindset about myself and the world around me. And I don't think a lot of that stuff is talked about near enough. So I figured, you know, this would be a good way for me to blend a couple of my different passions all into one. Where I like entertaining people, I like playing video games. Okay. I was scared for a second. It's like, oh boy, he's gonna full push. I like playing video games, I like entertaining. I like doing some of this coaching, teaching sort of stuff. I think that I have some good things to share from time to time. So, you know, here's a way for me to kind of blend all of those things together into one. So, obviously the video goes into a lot more depth than that, but that was the gist of the video, and I think that it helped me, again, organize and convey some of the things outside of, check me out, I'm a new streamer, a new Fortnite streamer, which there are 15 of those every day. Outside of being a new Fortnite, Rocket League video game Twitch streamer, hey, here's something I'm trying to accomplish here that might interest you outside of just seeing cool plays and laughing at me not being good at video games. So I imagine that for everybody, there's something out there that makes you unique. And I think it's really important to convey that with DJs that are different styles, influences, you know, approaches to the DJ sets, the type of music that they like. Like, a lot of potential listeners want to hear that stuff. You know, I'm a classic rock meets electronic DJ, or I'm a hip hop meets electronic DJ, or I'm a hip hop meets dubstep, or I'm a classic rock meets dubstep, or funk music meets house music, or whatever. You know, a lot of the times, some of my friends and I will check out I actually did this with a buddy last Thursday. Just, where do you think so-and-so's from? I don't know, let's find out. Read their bio or something and see if we can find out. And, you know, where a DJ is from often influences the type of music they make, and, you know, we kind of wanted to know that. So the sooner you figure that out for yourself and put it out for your potential followers, the better. Oh, he was almost not happy. Tough. Watch it every night before I go to bed. You're talking about my video. So yeah, dial that in. Make a video to practice the video aspect of things. Because for any person, I suppose not for any. For the large majority, video creation and social media social media content creating is something you'll have to do at some point. And even for the people who don't do it, like, there are some artists, some DJs, some people who really don't do that sort of thing. They're not that good at it. They're not comfortable in front of a camera or something like that. A lot of those people still can make it, but some of those people are some of the best at what they do. So people are like, I don't care if you make videos updating us on when your next song is going to announce. We're going to check your new song out regardless. But that's the exception, not the rule. And even those guys, I think, could probably benefit on the exposure and on their success from doing videos. They just don't care. And for a lot of them, that's perfect. Good for you. But again, me being normal Joe Blow streamer, I know that I'm going to have to be good at talking, making videos, that sort of stuff. So I wanted to kind of do that first video as practice for just straight up video making, not even streaming. So I think that's is helpful. Goodness, some of the other things that I did. So I made a launch schedule and a launch plan where, you know, I had my announcements written out far in advance, going with my theme, all of my major updates initially, and I'll get back to this at some point, but when I start having more things to do, you know, announcements on. But for the first 3 months, I knew that, hey, nothing matters at this stage except for be consistent with your schedule, make good content, get comfortable with the programs, build up an initial following, all that jazz. Like, that's all that matters for me now, but eventually I'll get back into doing this. But all my initial announcements were done on the first of the month to fit with the winning, you know, concept. And I just think that that's kind of clever. So anything clever-ish that you can do to, you know, kind of show people your creativity can help. I wrote out a lot of my announcements ahead of time so I could edit them and post them when I wanted to, and make sure that everything flowed nice, it was concise enough. all that stuff. So doing some of those announcements leading up to launches can help. I had my first 2 weeks of stream topics picked out in advance, where I was like, okay, this day on this, or this week on Monday, I'm going to talk about this, and then Wednesday I'm going to talk about this, and then Friday I'm going to talk about this. I had all that stuff scheduled ahead of time. Underneath each one, I kind of had some bullet points on, I'm going to talk about this for this topic, I'm going to talk about this for this topic. So I tried to be well prepared for that initial launch, because again, time can get away from you in a hurry if you don't have a lot of that stuff written out and planned and scheduled, where that first week could have seemed like overload if I didn't have ideas and even bullet points written out for my discussion stuff. So the more prepared you are, the better. So come up with a plan and a schedule, and write out some of your posts ahead of time. Again, I think I still do that, where I don't typically just write something and then post it, because sometimes when people, myself included, do that, you might post it and be like, ah, shoot, I forgot I wanted to mention this. And it's not usually a good idea to go back in, a day after posting something and adjust it. Usually people are going to see it right off the bat, and they're not going to see it again because you edited it. It's not just going to pop back up in their feed. Oh yeah, so-and-so changed this post. So yeah, making sure that everything's well written. Another good preparation thing you can do. On more of the short-term preparation, I definitely here's one. So I wanted to be really specific with the games and things like the games and the types of topics that I was playing, to again kind of build that your viewers know what to expect. So I do, of course, business-ish, career-ish topics on Mondays. I do, and at first I guess I was only doing Fortnite and Rocket League. Fortnite for an hour, Rocket League for an hour. Outside of that, I might, change that a little bit depending on how the game's going. But I'm first half Fortnite, second half Rocket League. So when people pop on for their second or third time, like, yeah, I know what to expect here. And then, once I threw the Harry Potter stuff in the mix, those are on Wednesdays. So if somebody doesn't want to watch the Harry Potter game, I still have 2 full streams that might interest them every week. So kind of even further than just a schedule, curating your content to building a following, not being super sporadic and super broad with, oh yeah, I'm a Twitch streamer, I stream these 8 different games, and I only stream 4 days of the week, so good luck figuring out which one I'm playing on which day. You'll just have to wait and find out. That works for big streamers, but for people trying to become big streamers, that's not usually a way to get your initial following down. And same thing with anybody, or with any venture. I mean, DJs, once they get big enough, Marshmello makes all kinds of different music anymore. He used to be a future bass, DJ, but now he has a bazillion followers. If he puts a song out, half the people are gonna like it, half the people are gonna hate it anyways. So he's like, oh yeah, I can start doing some of these more rap type songs, and I can do some really heavy dubstep songs, and I can do, house music, which he never used to produce house songs. It doesn't matter what I make. Some of these 2 or 5 or however many million people are gonna like it. So he didn't have to worry about the same problem that a new person does. And I mean, again, when he was up and coming, all of Marshmello's music pretty much was future bass, at least for a couple of albums. So you got to be specific at first, and then you can branch out. But be specific enough to differentiate before, you know, you try to move prematurely to step 2. See, some more short-term plan stuff. I tried to give myself a lot of advice. You know, I was watching some advice for new streamers a lot early on, and trying to just collect some of that advice. Some stuff was relevant to me, some stuff was not. But some things that I tried to just write down and leave on my document was stuff like, see the long picture. You've got to stay consistent regardless. Stay consistent, stay energetic, stay engaged, regardless of if your streams are getting tons of likes, if your posts are getting tons of likes or views. You got to put the initial work in, so you just, you know, block yourself to the mental trap of frustration early on. So I tried to write myself some helpful reminders for that stuff, just to keep myself in a good headspace. Okay. Killed cow juice in every single one of my games so far. I probably killed this kid already today too. Ooh, sniper. Oh. I hope that didn't just give an audio cue. He's far. I'm surprised that that was giving me a visual audio cue from that distance. So yeah, I tried to just get some tips compiled, some good reminders mentally, so that when I'm going back through and you know, reviewing some of this info, oh, I suck. When I'm reviewing that info, if I'm discouraged because viewership for a certain stream was not that great, I'll see that sort of stuff and, you know, be reminded, like, hey, just keep going, buddy. It's early. And it can kind of put you back in a little bit better of a mood potentially. And I think that that's another humongous thing that I'll do a lot of content over the stream's existence about positive mindset and positive reminders, and for people in things like sales or people starting new ventures, it is super important to keep yourself in a good headspace. It does affect you every single day and affects how productive you are and how you're interacting with your customers and, you know, your new followers, and how you wake up every day and approach your new adventure. It's so key to keep yourself in a good headspace, because it's a roller coaster. Any business, sales, anything like that is gonna have its ups and downs. Oh, that's probably a mistake. Gonna have its ups and downs, and you can't let the downs affect you. At least not on your performance. Like if I'm down about stream viewership, okay, well it's on me after my job is done for the day, and after I'm done streaming on, like, you know, dealing with a bad stream, like, you're gonna have bad streams, and you can deal with those as they come, or bad whatever you're in days. Deal with those as they come, but you've gotta come to the front in whatever venture that is, and get stuff done. Oh, you moved. So I've got to make sure that before every stream, and before I'm about to go in and edit a stream, or maybe post some videos, hype myself up a little bit, and remind myself that this is short term when it comes to viewership. Like, it just can get better. I didn't hit. How he is melting me. But he is. Just slurp truck over here, I'm gonna go hit. Yeah, do yourself a favor and write some of that stuff down. Everybody is motivated and encouraged in different ways, so there's no one-size-fits-all on, like, yeah, write down this quote and write down, you know, save this video link. Like, it's different. This kid is something else. Oh, I just got that. Oh, I can't believe I played for an hour and 15 minutes and didn't get disconnected, but of course it's on a day that I wasn't expecting to play a whole lot of Fortnite because every single session longer than an hour that I've played recently, I've had at least one DC, but it wasn't bad necessarily. I just was going up against the Giga Sweats because I wasn't pushing and, like, looting and trying to go fight a whole lot. But anyways, so keeping yourself in a good headspace and keeping yourself mentally on track is super, super important. I've used that sort of tactic in sales. I've used that sort of tactic when I was trying to start a business and couldn't, you know, keep myself in a good headspace because I had a lot of other stuff going on. I still use that stuff a lot in my job currently, because you're not always going to have good days, but your customers can't know that you're having a bad day right off the bat. You know what I mean? When you're in sales, at least, like, you got to bring the energy and be engaging and motivated and motivating all the time. So I still have to use some of those tactics, and again, I've used that with my streaming venture. So do yourself a favor, and in your planning document, write some of those things out. Maybe drop some video links that are motivating to you. Some people like the, you know, the you could do it, just get up and believe in yourself. Some people like that motivation stuff. I'm not the biggest fan personally, and a lot of that doesn't really motivate me all that much. But everybody has a certain type of way that works for them to get and stay motivated, and that, you know, figure yours out and write it down and make a plan to help yourself manage yourself in times when you're having a bad day. Otherwise, you can really let stuff get to you. I mean, for example, like, streamers often have somebody hop in their chat and they're just being a dick because they got no life and they're not doing anything with it, so they feel the need to jump in and shit on other people. Like, it'd be very easy if you don't have some of that stuff, some of that self-confidence stuff that I've talked about already, some of the motivating stuff prepared to handle some of that. For certain people, I really wouldn't care. I'd probably egg them on, but especially if it's a rando. But yeah, all that stuff's good short term. I'm gonna go hit the restroom really quick and switch on over to Rocket League. Okay. So I will be right back. Okay. Sweet. Took a little longer than I anticipated, but here we are. Okay, as usual for Mondays, I'm going to hop in here and kind of wrap up some of the topic material. I feel like I'm forgetting one of my bullet points, so I'm going to look really quick in my document, my handy-dandy document. Again, this is why it can very much come in handy to have some stuff written down and planned out and all that. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. Okay. Yeah. Ah, nice. Okay, cool. So I think I could probably cover a lot of the long-term plan stuff down the road, but since I'm still in the early stages, I feel most inclined to talk about the short-term plan. And I think that one of the other big things that I wanted to kind of express is for people who are, especially with streaming, for people who are thinking about, actually I think this honestly applies to anything, but very, very, very much so streaming. And maybe DJing. Maybe DJing is another one that it definitely applies to. For environments and realms of entertainment like that, one thing that is really, really smart to not do, which I wanted to make a point ahead of time to not do, is to start streaming or start DJing or whatever, start and overinvest. Like, I have plenty of disposable income right now, but I did not want to invest a bunch of money in equipment and like boosting my initial posts and all these different, forms of investment that would a normal business probably would do. I did not want to start up and invest a bunch of that stuff and find out 8 months later that I'm sick of playing video games and I'm sick of streaming 6 hours a week. Like, I very, very, very much doubt that will be the case because, like, for me, I don't need this to work. Like, I don't need to ever make it as a streamer. I don't even need to have more than more than 0 people watching each of my streams. I just enjoy it more, like talking and feeling like I'm talking to somebody and talking about some of these concepts and things like that. This has made gaming more fun for me. So that won't be the case, but regardless, I did not want to invest a bunch of my money up front into something that starts out as a hobby. Because, I mean, even now, like, streaming for me is a hobby. It makes me 0 money. It makes me, like, gives me 0 exposure on things that I want. Like, if I was going to try to be a pro gamer and I became a streamer so that more pro teams would pay attention to me and watch me or something, I might invest something, because that would mean that I'm really good at a certain game, but I'm not good enough to be considered for pro in really anything. So, because this doesn't make me any money, I'm not investing any money, It might have been more than 0, but it was about as much as I would normally invest getting into a hobby. Like, I want to say that the only things that I invested money in were... I bought the new Xbox Series X, but I can still use that even if I stopped streaming after 1 stream. That's still somewhat beneficial to me. So I hardly count that, but like the only true things that I spent money on to start streaming were a tripod that I already had from when I used to make dance videos. So like that doesn't necessarily cost me money, but it might cost a person money. Like I have my phone on a tripod right here. So the tripod maybe costs money. The camera that I bought on Amazon for less than 40 bucks, you could definitely consider that an investment because that's unnecessary money. But again, I would spend 40 bucks to get into pretty much any hobby. Like that's not a big deal. Goodness gracious. Oh, maybe the Elite controller, which I possibly would have not bought had I got into streaming, but that's another thing that if I stop streaming, that can still benefit me. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. Like I didn't spend money on programs or new equipment. Like a lot of people who are PC gamers, I keep seeing ads for these start streaming today packs, and it's like $3,000 to $15,000 depending on how much you're willing to spend on a streaming setup with like the video cameras and the LED lights for the background, and you know they've got these subscriptions that you can sign up, and $6 a month you can play this unlicensed streaming audio in the background, blah 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 blah. You can just get yourself in a hole so quickly. And is the quality of your stream important? Yes, it is. But right away, no. Like my first, I don't know that I've had more than 15 people on any one stream since I started streaming. So like, especially for the beginning, and all, I think every single one outside of my fifth, or let's say this, I'd say at least 50% of my 50 followers that I have currently know me personally, and they don't really care if my background has LED lights in it or how high resolution my camera thing is. Like, I'm sorry that I couldn't make it better for you guys right off the bat, but a lot of people that are going to support you starting out don't care. If you're DJing, a lot of the people that are going to listen and support you originally don't care. Like, they don't. And I feel like your prowess and your skill and things like that in whatever venture it is, whether it's DJing and streaming, or I'm just going to keep using those, but there are again other examples that could apply. The people that are going to support you, if you're a DJ or a DJ or a streamer, they don't care. So save yourself the money and get started a bit. Make sure you like it. Make sure that you're halfway decent at it. If you've been going for 6 months and you haven't grown your following at all, like, you probably got other problems going on there, but it might tell you that maybe you're not necessarily cut out for this. And I'm not talking, I don't have 1,000. I've been streaming 6 months and I haven't even reached 1,000 followers. I'm talking if you have been streaming for 6 months and you have like 22 followers. Like, you should probably, I'm not saying you should stop, but you need to reevaluate some things and figure out, am I good at this? Do I need to change my approach? Because that doesn't necessarily mean that you're bad. It could just mean that you aren't differentiating yourself enough, like I talked about earlier. It could mean that you aren't consistent with your schedule and people don't know when you're going to be streaming next. Or it could mean that you're just missing one key component of like growing an early stream. Like, maybe you're not posting at all to update people on, like, I'm going to go live in an hour. Like, some of that stuff can most certainly help. So if you're really, truly struggling, take a quick look in the mirror and just be like, is this something that I'm really going to end up being good at? Or something that more importantly, something that I'm passionate about? If the answer is yes, then keep going. But, like, that's the time without spending a bunch of money on equipment to reevaluate, not after you've already spent $3,000 on new equipment and you've boosted posts on your social media to the tune of, you know, $12 or $20 or $50 per post, you know, 10 times. Like, reevaluate before, give yourself a chance to reevaluate before you go drop a bunch of money. Because a lot of that stuff might have resale value, but for the packs of new streamer, everything you need to be a new streamer packs, those are there's tons of markup on that, and probably not a lot of resale value. So, I don't want to steal this kid's stuff. Oh, okay. I see. Going back. Ash Lumpy, I have personally spent way too much on streaming equipment that I've never used. Yep, see, there you go. Like, it does not take much to get started. If you're on a PC, it's different, but like, because some PCs like might not be able to handle streaming. But, you know, that's a tougher one because I'm not a PC streamer, so I'm not even going to try to speak on that. But for me, like, all I had to do was plug in a camera and download the Twitch app and set up my social media stuff, and you're good. So my initial investment, I made sure it was very, very low. And now you know, if I want to drop it at any time, sure, I've maybe quote-unquote wasted some time, but, like, I was probably going to be playing video games anyways. And I've had a lot of fun with this, so I most certainly don't look at it as a waste of time. And in the initial stages and kind of going through some of the things that I've talked about today, doing that has taught me a lot about, again, starting a business or starting a content creation thing. So if I ever go start a business, or if I ever decide to ditch this project and take a year off and try to reapproach or something, at least I've learned so much from this, to the tune of a $40 camera. So I'd much prefer people be in that boat as opposed to the financially burdened with all of their streaming equipment that they are trying to now sell secondhand burden. So yeah, don't overinvest. Don't overinvest. I would not get caught up in the boosting posts or anything, or any of that major nonsense. Just get started and get a foundation and get a base for your following, and then figure out, okay, is this investment worth it? For me, I'm still leaps and bounds away from the point of investing. Like, leaps and bounds. And the second part of this little mini monologue is the importance of reinvesting. Like, I don't even have the ability to get donations yet. I'm never going to even ask for donations or follows or any of that stuff, which is something that, again, side note, I put that into my differentiation approach to streaming and content creation, as I was like, everybody is always asking for likes and follows and subscribes and da-da-da-da-da-da, and, you know, shouting out people that donate and stuff like that, which I think that's dope. Like, if and when that ever becomes the case, I will probably do that. But, I mean, overall, when you constantly are just asking for people to like and subscribe, you're just simping a little bit, in my opinion, to where you're like kind of begging and, you know, making people feel obligated, which, yeah, I get it. It's a like or a subscribe on a video, but, like, it's still begging. And, like, I feel like if you are begging, you don't necessarily believe that you truly have something of value to offer that would warrant liking or subscribing. So again, I kind of wanted to watch the masses and do the opposite, as they say, which is a big differentiation thing in business. Is, oh, everybody's doing this. Well, if everybody's doing this and I do it, I'm just going to be another person doing this. So I'm not going to bombard people with, you know, asking for favors and sharing videos and blah, 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 all that stuff. I'm just going to make good content, and then people will like and follow if they feel like it. And if it's good enough content, people are probably going to like and whatever else. Like, but for me, the more time that a streamer spends plugging, as they call that, the more time a content creator spends plugging and reminding people to like and subscribe and comment your favorite part of the video, and don't forget to, it's like, yo, you have this 30-second rant at the beginning of every single at the beginning and end of every single one of your videos. I watch your videos all the time. That's a minute every single day that I can't get back. And that adds up after, you know, long-term watching a streamer. So I don't want to watch that nonsense, and I don't want to make any of that nonsense, so people don't get tired of watching my nonsense. There's enough nonsense of mine people are subjected to watch on my stream already. So anyways, I didn't want to plug. I don't ever plan on, you know, asking for or even really encouraging donations. I mean, outside of maybe thanking people who do. But the money that does eventually come in from whatever source, like, I don't even care if it's $0 from streaming. If someday I've streamed for 14 years and have amassed enough of a following to get a sponsorship, that's when I will reinvest that sponsorship money into a new camera. Like, all of the money I might ever potentially make from streaming will go back into the channel to be upgrading it. But until I make a single cent from streaming, I don't plan on ever spending another cent streaming. And I think that is a really important thing to keep in mind for businesses and ventures like streaming and DJing and stuff like that. Is, yeah, some of them can definitely make you money, and you do have to stay the course, but don't take your streamer money and go buy something non-streamer related. You know, unless this is truly going to be a part-time hobby, you know that you're never going to pursue getting big at streaming. If you just want to hop on and stream to a small group of people, then, you know, you could take that money and do whatever you want with it. But in my opinion, for people who really have a desire to, in the long term, and I cannot stress this enough, like, not only do I not expect to ever be, not only do I not personally expect to be big anytime in the next 5 years, and when I say big, I'm not talking ninja big, I'm talking like 5,000 followers or something like that, which is really nothing in the grand scheme of things, but seems like an insurmountable mountain right now. But I would consider that like, you're doing something right, you're starting to get kind of big, and that's the platform you can launch to really getting big from. Anyways, until that happens, I'm not spending more money. Like, I will reinvest any money that does come in, but I'm good on my outside of streaming money. I have plenty of income, you know, disposable income. I don't need to take a $5 donation out and just put it in my bank, or, you know, I fill in the blank with an expense. Like, I just am keeping my streaming money. If and when it ever comes in, and my personal money is my personal money for all of eternity. So, reinvest your earnings as long as you can, and don't invest your personal money. That was a big thing for me and a big thing that I wanted to talk about for any sort of adventure. Figure out a way to make, you know, money if you're DJing. Just DJ a small wedding and ask them if they'd pay you 20 bucks. Do a small photo shoot for a couple of friends and ask them if they would pay you 20 bucks, 10 bucks. Sell pieces of art for $5, $10, whatever, here and there. Like, it can all add up, but if you treat that like a separate bank account, you can add to it over time and then spend money out of that. Like, maybe even $1. Hey, the first 5 weddings I DJ, I'm gonna do it for $1. Even if you're not that good, some people might be like, hey, we're on a pretty tight budget. We'd pay you $1 to come DJ our wedding. Take that and do that a couple of times, or maybe $5. And DJing can cost you money, so that may not be the most applicable venture. But for art, instead of trying to give away things for free, like charge $1 or $5 and add that money up, and then buy yourself some more equipment and improve it from there. But I just think it's very dangerous to dip into your own money for something that is supposed to stay separate. Even for a small business owner, like, you should get a loan. If you can't get a loan, you should probably wait and work on your credit to the point where you can have good enough credit to get a loan and get a better business, improve your business plan to where you could get a loan. You start dipping in with your personal money to a business, you can easily put yourself in a bad position, which is true for things that require a big investment and things that require a small investment. Because I think you can get caught on that slippery slope of, oh, I bought a new camera and I bought a new whatever, and then 2 months later you're like, oh well, I'd really like to upgrade this thing, and I've got $1,500 that I've made from this venture, and I'll just make up the other gap of $500 to a $2,000 item with my own money. It'd be very easy to start doing that, and the more you start doing that, the more you can just leave yourself open to calamity. So keep it separate. That was a huge thing that I kind of wanted to share, if you will. And then let me see if there's one other thing. And then I'll actually play some Rocket League. Let's see. Yeah, okay. That was a big one. So I already sort of talked about staying level-headed, but I think it is important to just stay level-headed and keep the blinders on and encourage yourself and take the little wins as what they are, little wins. I hit 50 followers today. That doesn't really mean anything, but I'm still like, all right, sick. That is good news, and you can focus in a good way on little wins for what they are and what they're worth, I guess, right? So really kind of relish in some of those things. When I had my first Fortnite win on stream, I got pretty hype about that just internally. I was like, all right, sick, there's the first one. Your little victories to start are not going to be, I hit 1,000 followers in a week. Typically, they're not going to be, I had 20 people watching my first stream. That may not be the case for everybody. Some people might just pop off from the very beginning. But for people who have a slower start, like I expected I would, and I have, take the little wins, And also, make sure that you're improving yourself, your content. I rewatch all of my content and try to make sure that nothing went terribly wrong. I'm not necessarily talking about gameplay, but I'm talking about the stream itself. The times I've had audio, I've kind of tried to, okay, how can I fix this? Or, you know, I shouldn't have said this, or I should have explained this a little more clearly. Stuff like that. So watch yourself and critique yourself and improve. You can watch videos that have tips for streamers and implement some of those tips usually, and, you know, find some new tools to utilize. There are constantly new streamer platforms that are rising up that, you know, have different widgets and gadgets and music and whatever else. So be finding ways to improve your content, no matter what sort of content it is. Get feedback from people. And I think that was something that I did early on, is I was pitching my early idea to people and saying, okay, what do you think? What are your concerns? Yada, yada, yada. And I had them tell me what they thought, maybe things that I should do, shouldn't do. So a lot of it was people mentioning things I hadn't thought of before. So beforehand and ongoing, I think it's great to get feedback, give yourself feedback, and just critique. Because you always want to make sure you're at the top of your game, right? So that pretty much wraps up the topics that I wanted to talk about. As usual, some things may pop into my head as we're playing some games here, but so I don't continue to just keep everybody watching me in Rocket League training, let's get into something here. I don't think I've ever seen an estimated queue time until today. Oh boy. It's not at all what I was trying to do. Or was that? Where's my team? Okay. I should be able to get steal this. Yep. Alright, now I'm halfway warmed up, and the first couple plays are a little rough. Bump in there. Good block. Shouldn't have gone. Need to get back. We're all three up. Yes. Oh, I can't believe I didn't hit that. Back. Ah, shoot. Got away from me too far. Yeah, nice try. Thought you were gonna demo me. Thought you were gonna blow. No, you did eventually. I just bumped him into it. Dang it. Like, hey, I know you missed that save, but I'll give you another chance. Didn't work out well in the end, but it's kind of funny. Oh boys, my teammate's way up for that. They're both just botching it. Close one. Okay. Lovely. Suck it. Jeez. Dude, get out of here with that. Oh, this team is pissing me off. Nice. Be there. Let's go. Whoa. Whoa. Stop him. Ah. Oh, that's game. Alright, no matter. Okay, I need to read some of these, I'm sorry. First, we spent way too much money. This is true. We'll stream then. Yeah, you should actually, Ashlyn. I don't want to steal this kid's thunder. I appreciate that. Different demos, demonstrations of fans. Yeah, exactly. That could not be truer. That could definitely be true. Mine is more Elgato instead of live streaming too, though. I don't remember what that is. Recorded content. I think you've told me about that, but I can't remember. Exactly, I'll give you my money at some point too. No, you guys don't even. Viewership is key. Far more important. I appreciate the viewership. So, freeloaders for life. Thanks for the free content, Aaron. Yeah, anytime, dude. Anytime. The pleasure is all mine. All right, I am not even going to play competitive games because my lobbies are going to be really tough. Because I ranked up a bunch on Friday playing in an actual group of people, and I bet the teammates are not going to be that great. And I probably only got another 5-10 minutes in me anyway, so. We'll rock a couple cashies. So anyway, since I can play casually a lot less seriously, to recap the plan stuff. When I started organizing my stream stuff, I wanted to come up with a business plan for my stream as if I was pitching it to a bank for a loan, and wanted to really work through that ahead of release so I could organize and get ideas down, get some do's and don'ts together, plan some of the written material like my announcements, plan some topics, and I think that sort of a approach for any business or venture would be great. Next, find out a way for you to differentiate yourself. From the competition, something that makes you special outside of just being the best cook, or we have the best food in town. Everybody says that. The coldest drinks in town. Every bar says that. The best artwork. Every artist thinks that. The best DJ songs or mixes. The best, or like every DJ thinks that. to some degree at least, thinking like they can differentiate just from being really good. Every streamer thinks that. People will love me. I'm really good at video games. I'm funny. You gotta find deep ways to differentiate. Don't invest. Don't invest. Don't invest. Don't over-invest, at least. You can do whatever you want, but my plan was don't invest. Just reinvest. Don't invest, reinvest, if possible. And I think I've kind of already talked about this topic before on stream now that I'm kind of remembering, but I'm sure that everything I've said tonight is different than what I've said the first time, and I think that I kind of have a little bit of a different perspective. I think even if I did, which I can't 100% remember if I did or not, I was, it was a little bit different of a phase than, I am now with having a little bit more time under my belt. So, whatever. And I will assure you, if that is the case, and I've already talked about this, then we will not be talking about it again. Ooh. This whole time I thought that we were losing the game until I just looked up at the scoreboard because I feel like I have not done anything productive. All right. I'm going to look really quick. I think there's a way for me to tell if I have or have not. And if so, I'm going to try to add some additional things. Here before we go. Alright. We want this. And then this. Make sure it wasn't on. Huh. I feel like I probably talked about something other than that on that stream. And then we did that one, then we did yeah, okay, I might have been confusing it with the Your Name Here LLC stream. Thought that might be the case because I was like, I don't think I've talked about this before. That was done before. Yeah, I did, it looks like, but that was one of the ones that got cut up. I'm sure this one probably is a bit more comprehensive and all right. See you, buddy. Have a good one. So anyways, hope some of this was helpful. I think it is really important to plan out and keep a lot of this sort of stuff in mind for any sort of venture you might be taking on. I'm going to go ahead and cut stream here. I have some chores that I need to get done tonight, so I only wanted to do a nice 2-hour session. I will be back with some Harry Potter on Wednesday, and that should be a good time again. Friday, not sure if I'll be streaming or not. I have maybe some personal engagements that I'll be getting into. But anyways, regardless, hope everybody enjoyed tonight's stream, as always. I appreciate everybody popping on. I will talk to you guys very soon. And next time I'll be on is 8 to 10 Eastern Time Wednesday and 6 to 8 Mountain Time Wednesday. So hope everybody has a good rest of the week. See ya.